That's
Right.
probably the best way to be playing.
Let's talk about developing the final intangible, and that's intelligence.
Hmm.
How does a player continue to develop that mental acuity and that intelligence they need on the field to help their team?
That's so interesting. You say that. And I'm sure this is the case in football. I'm sure this is any sport. I had some classmates who could not pay attention in class, could not get a good grade in class, yet their intelligence was like through the roof when it came to their sport. It really was so relative, like something that caught their interest, they knew everything about. I had football players from Alabama in my classes, same thing. They knew that playbook inside and out. They knew every single thing that was going on in the field, but
Yeah.
when it came to what was going on in class, that wasn't there. So intelligence shouldn't be like overall IQ. It's really that, are they able to absorb what's going on around them and create these intelligent, if you will, conclusions about what's going, about the game and the willingness to learn the game, and little things like watching an outfielder go for a ball and knowing that the shoulder they're catching it over is the one where they're going to have to catch it and spin and turn, and how difficult of a play that's going to be. And now I'm going to tag because the ball's going that way. And just little things like that, just like the thread that weaves through the game. That's what I think about when I see intelligence. But I think developing it is, you have to start by watching the game. You can't just be on Instagram watching highlights. You can't just be practicing your skill. I can't get over how many of my girls don't watch college softball, and they don't really have an excuse anymore. It's on all the time. All the time, college softball is now on. And they're like, yeah, no, I don't really like watching TV. And it's like, just the ability to just sit and watch the game is just not there. And that blows my mind, because I mean, my parents and I used to cancel our events we had for the week of the World Series, because that was the only time we got to watch it. And it was just, I don't know. I don't know if it's an attention span thing. I don't know if it's an interest thing, but it is very different that we have players not watching the game. And I really do think we see that overall game IQ or game intelligence plummet.
How do you counter that then, as a coach? I mean, does that worry you for the future? How do you counter a player, just players or a generation really that doesn't have that attention span?
It is interesting. I would say that's probably something I'm very limited with in a private sector, because I might be in a cage and I can do situational hitting type stuff, or I can talk about, hey, we have a pitcher who's throwing a rise ball, a drop ball, but she's hitting her strikes for a screwball. What are we looking for? And they're like confused. They're like, well, I don't know. She's throwing 3 pitches. I'm like, no, she's throwing a rise ball out of the zone. Like, just the concept of like, we're only looking for a ball that's in the zone. Why concern ourselves with balls that are out of the zone? Just little things like that I can start to implement. But if I was in the dugout, gosh, I mean, I would probably, just because this is me, but my team would probably hate me, because we would run a scrimmage and I would stop it every 2 minutes and be like, okay, do we understand what's going on? It'd be like a teaching lesson. I'd be pulling the whiteboard out more than we would be playing at that time. But I would think just like bringing athletes aware of like the little things. I have 22-year-olds that, when I say, hey, we got a runner on second base, it's a tight game, a really good pitcher, no outs, we got to get her to third base. What pitch are you looking for? And they have no idea we're trying to hit to the right side of the field. That just was never taught,
Yeah.
or it was taught and it was never just sunk in. So again, those little things, probably what they define success as, right? They wanted to get recruited. They wanted to get a big hit. Why would they ever hit a ground ball to second? That was just never in their protocol. But again, I think the willingness to have that out and give your effort for your team, that is another layer of intangible that's missing.